Computer. So, hello everyone. This is well, it is a live. The live that didn't happen on Instagram, which is now happening on YouTube and other social media places. We
Yeah.
have had uh, a nightmare. Yeah, let me put it that way. A nightmare trying to get the live going on Instagram for our conversation about stress and nutrition, but it wasn't meant to be. So we are improvising and doing a recording here on Zoom so that you're not missing out. And yeah, because I really wanted to bring this conversation to light. So thank you, Kelly, for still offering to do the conversation, but in a different way.
Oh, no
And
problem.
and let me just give a bit of an introduction to Kelly. And I've known Kelly for some years, I think since 2012, 2013, around that time. And I used to coach Kelly in her business and helped her to realize her dream of running a gym. And she had her own gym. I'm not going to say too much because I'll leave her to share. And I've just been watching her over the years evolve into doing what she does now. And I just thought, yeah, I really want to bring to the forefront about how we can utilize nutrition to combat stress. And who better to have the conversation with than with Kelly McFie, who is a nutrition expert. And yes, I was just like, no, she's got to be the one. So welcome, Kelly.
Oh, thank you so much, Lillian. Thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. And first of all, I would like to hear, or we would like to hear, who are you, Kelly, and why do you do what you do?
Um, I'm Kelly, I am 40, I'm a mum from Manchester, and I've worked in the fitness industry for the best part of 20 years now. Um, I work more in the nutrition coaching space now than in the fitness side of things. Although I do still have a couple of personal training clients that I love that I still work with. Um, I basically do what I do because when I was growing up and when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, I had a really poor relationship with food, with my body image, and with kind of fitness and training in general. And for me, it didn't come from a good place, and it kind of resulted in disordered eating patterns. And then after I had my son, I developed a full-blown eating disorder, which I had NHS outpatient support for a prolonged period of time. Um, and what I really wanted was for ladies to know that they didn't have to do things that way. They didn't have to
Mm,
get to a position where they hated what they saw when they looked in the mirror, where food was something that was frightening, where it was all very, very negative. I wanted ladies to know that they could exercise and enjoy it because they loved their bodies.
mm,
And I wanted them to know that they could eat good food and nourish themselves because they wanted to look after themselves and they wanted that good relationship with food. I do still work with clients who want to lose weight and who have fat loss goals, but I do it in a much more compassionate way than
mm.
it just being about calories, macros, stick to it, let's go. Um, so that's a bit of a like a potted history of why I do what I do.
Excellent. Good. So let me refer to my questions. And um, what do you find rewarding about your work?
I just love the fact that you can support somebody on a journey to change their lives. And
Mm,
I know that that sounds like a cliche, but I know that you understand where I'm coming from as well. Um, but it's the fact that people will come to you with a goal in mind, and it could be a goal related to their health or the fitness or the body, and they just need that help and support to be able to achieve their goal. Um,
mm,
and then it has a knock-on effect to other areas of their life, so the parents potentially who want to lose weight so they can be more active with their children, or people who want to be stronger as they're aging so they can be
Mm,
healthier as they're getting older. People who want to gain weight for their sport, or who want to lose weight to fit into a weight category, or just working with people who want to improve their lives through nutrition and through training.
mm. Which brings me beautifully onto around stress and eating. I don't know whether in your work you've come across people who maybe say to you, well, Kelly, I have a problem with comfort eating. I have a problem with emotional eating. For me, that all stems under the umbrella of stress eating, because I myself used to stress eat.
Mhm,
Whenever I would feel my stress levels go up, I'd instantly turn to the sugary foods, even if it was fruit. As long as it was sweet, I
mhm.
would go for that. Um, and then the carbs as well, you know. So, in your line of work, how do you help people if they're really stressed and they do go down that route of stress eating, comfort eating, emotional eating? How do you help them to get out of that that hole, that trap?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the first thing to say is that it's so common. What you've described there, so many people have those same struggles. And when we are feeling stressed, those comfort foods, they can dampen that stress
Mm,
response.
yeah.
Um, and like you said, we're drawn to the foods that are really high in carbs, we're drawn to the foods that are high in sugar. And when we're feeling stressed, we don't make the same food choices that we would do normally. So we go for things that are convenient, that are easy. And like you said, they're always the ones that are high in carbs and sugar. And, in moderation as part of a healthy, balanced diet, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm,
But when it's in excess and it's happening all the time, um, and what I tend to find is that people will use food as a coping strategy.
yeah.
The same way that people who smoke might have a cigarette if they're feeling stressed, and it's their
Mm,
go-to coping strategy.
mm,
But unfortunately, anything in excess, it's no longer healthy. Um, so some of the things that I try and help my clients with is to use kind of mindful eating strategies. Um, so that could be, for some people, it could simply be taking a pause before they go and get something to eat, because often we get into that trap of thinking, I'm so stressed, immediately into the kitchen. And you've not actually given yourself time to process those feelings or emotions. Um,
mm,
so sometimes just giving yourself a minute to pause and just think, right, what is it that I'm going through? Is there anything else that I can do here that's going to help soothe me rather than actually turning to food?
yeah.
Um, so an exercise that I often use with my clients is in advance trying to come up with some coping strategies that they could use at times of stress rather than always turning to food. But it's important to do that when you're not feeling stressed. You've got to come up with those strategies, at a time when you feel pretty calm and you feel chill. Um, because when you do feel stressed, it can go out of the window if you don't think about it.
Absolutely. Because when I looked into um, why I was eating the way I was eating, um, and I realized that because when we're stressed, we go into survival mechanism. So then the body starts to crave these foods, the sugary foods and the carbs, because, like you said, that not only are they convenience, but they're easy for the body to break down for
Yeah.
energy because the body believes it's in fight or flight. So whatever we're perceiving around us as a threat or a danger, the body's revving itself up. It's like, yeah, give me some energy so that in case you need to fight that tiger, in case you need to flee from that danger, you've got the energy to run and go. But what I realized was, like you say, over long periods of time, it's not good. It's not a good strategy. It's not sustainable for a long period of time for our bodies. And there is a thing called, I remember coming across, oh, I forget the lady's name, but she wrote a book about fat around the belly. And it was a bestseller. And when I looked into this book, and she was talking about stress eating and how if we continue to go down that road of eating the sugary, carbs and the sweet foods, it starts to store fat around the middle area. So I'm sure you come across clients who say, well, Kelly, look, I've got this, what used to be called the spare tire around, a lot of fat around the middle. How can I lose this? And I used to get lots of that from my clients. That was like one of the number one things that they wanted to deal with. And I used to say to them, well, it's not a case of just doing tummy exercises or going to aerobics classes to try and lose that. We need to get to the root of where that's come from. And then the more that I did my investigations and uncovering it, the more I realized that, okay, so when we're stressed and if we eat all the foods that are not really good for us, the body will naturally just plonk the fat around the organ area. And I thought, well, why? And that's because the body's trying to keep ourselves safe during stressful times. So then all the fat accumulates there because it's trying to insulate and protect the organs. So when I realized that, I was like, well, that's not good over time, because then the fat starts to insulate, really squash the organs and stop the organs from operating effectively. And especially if it gets to the heart as well, that's like, you're looking at cardiac disease and all types of things. So when I realized that, I was like, nah, there's something more to this than us just craving these foods. And like you say, just using them to soothe us and use them
Yeah,
as
yeah.
coping strategies. And you're right about, we've got to pre-plan. So what are some of the examples that you would suggest as a pre-plan for someone who, say, they're at work, the work is really stressful, and they've got, and I'll use myself as an example, because this is what I used to do when I worked in corporate. Had the crisp in the bottom drawer, the chocolate in the bottom drawer.
Yeah.
And when things got like, I'd get the crisp out, the chocolate out, and then the fizzy drinks as well. What would you suggest? Oh, and then the office, if there's a birthday as
Oh, all the
well,
cake.
and the cake and the biscuits come out as well, and you're just like, oh my god. So let's talk about that, and then let's talk about when we, gets to the afternoon and you get that energy slump.
Mhm.
And then you just think, oh, what can I eat? Let me eat a biscuit, or let me eat something sugary, or let me go to the shop to get a pasty. Let me go to the shop and get a donut, and to pick my energy up. What would you suggest we do instead?
I think it's really important to remember that as part of a balanced diet, those foods are absolutely fine. So it's not even about you've got to cut them out. It's just including them in moderation as part of that healthy, balanced diet. But I actually think, when that energy slump hits, it could be that your nutrition throughout the day hasn't been balanced. So you've not
Mm,
had like a good balance of your protein, carbs, fats. Um, I tend to find that a lot of ladies that I work with, especially if they're trying to lose weight, they will eat foods that are very low in calories, but not necessarily high in nutrition.
mm,
So they're eating loads of things like Snacker Jacks or Skinny Whip bars or Muller Light yogurts, thinking, well, this is low in calories, so this is what I need to be eating.
mm,
Whereas actually, you're not getting your full range of vitamins and minerals and nutrition that you need from your food, which might be
mm.
one reason why you have that afternoon energy slump. Um, Sorry, I just heard like a bit of a noise. I was like, what's he doing? Um, but I actually find one of the best things that you can do in that situation is to get up and move around, rather than kind of sitting and thinking, right, I'm going to eat something, or I'm going to get a coffee and that's going to perk me up. Even if you're in an office, even if you're just getting up, walking around the office, going talking to your friend for a minute,
Mm,
moving around a little bit, or if you are able to and you've got time, getting out and having a bit of a walk, getting out in the fresh air is
mm,
so good for helping with that as well. Um, I attended some training once where they referred to it as movement snacks. So rather than having a snack of food, you're having just a little snack of moving around. So it might be just getting up, moving your feet around. It could be going into the bathroom and doing 5 squats or something, but just promoting a little bit
wow.
of movement.
That is such a good thing. That's a good point that you brought up there, because I'm all about discharging the stress from the body and utilizing, moving the energy around the body. So movement is a great way. Yeah, definitely. And something else you touched on there about, in terms of what else, what does what I call the train of food look like throughout the day? Because even though we may crave something when we're low on energy or high in stress, what are we eating first thing in the morning? What are we eating at lunchtime? What did we eat the night before as well? Because that all ricochets and feeds into that crucial point of, I feel like my energy is dipping, or I feel like I'm really stressed, I need to eat something.
Mhm.
And ways that we can avoid that sort of crash. Now, I remember when I used to go on the commute, and I used to see lots of people rushing to work with their pastry in their hand and the coffee in the other hand. Is that a great way to start the day, Kelly?
I mean, I'm a massive believer in unconditional permission to eat all foods. So when I'm working with clients, I don't ban anything, or I don't ask them to ban anything. For me personally, I wouldn't feel great if that was how I was starting the day. I prefer to sit at a table to eat my breakfast, to have a nice cup of coffee, to have something a bit more balanced, maybe like some porridge with some fruit in it, or something that's got some protein in it. Um,
Mm,
yeah, I think sometimes it can be the fact of just rushing all the time and not actually
mm,
even paying attention to the fact that you are eating. Um, I worked with a client a little while ago, and going off on a bit of a tangent, and she was a lady that wanted to lose weight but wasn't necessarily interested in counting calories or tracking or anything like that. And one thing that we implemented for her was a distraction-free meal. Um, and she chose to have her breakfast as a distraction free meal every day. So, no phone, no TV, no radio. She would just sit and eat her breakfast. Um,
mm.
and what she actually found was she would get halfway through her normal portion and feel satisfied and be like, I actually don't need to eat the rest of this now, because I already feel satisfied. My needs have been met. I'm not stuffed full, but I'm not hungry anymore. I just feel good. And amongst some other strategies that we put in place, that lady lost weight.
Wow.
And it was just that little thing of actually paying attention to when you were eating, slowing down as well, and not just being on the go all the time.
Oh, so many things in what you've just said. The fact that she ate without any distractions. How many of us, whether we work in an office or we work from home, are eating in front of the computer? We're eating, we're on our phone, we're eating or we're talking on our phone, whatever it is, we're not paying 100% attention to the food going into our mouth, us chewing it and swallowing. Even with a drink, when we're not conscious, we just put the cup to our mouth, take whatever's in there, and off we go. And like you say, the rushing. And also what you were talking about, you know, the fact that she felt satisfied halfway
Yes,
through just goes to show, you know, how many of us are really being conscious about what it is that we're eating, the process of eating. And what I recommend to my clients is, even before they eat, to take at least 3 deep breaths. Because when you breathe in and then breathe out, and do that 3 times, it helps to lower the stress hormones and discharge some of the stress. Because oftentimes, we're in a hurry, look at the time, I've got to eat, eat, eat. And then your body feels like it's contracted. So then when people come to me and they say, oh, Lillian, I suffer with digestive issues. And then I ask them, well, how are you eating? It's always been in that rushed manner, that stressful manner. So, like you say, not having the distractions, pausing before you eat, take 3 deep breaths in and out, relax your body, relax your digestive system, and then begin the process of eating. We'll begin to have a totally different experience with food and with
absolutely.
nutrition. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like paying attention to the way the food smells, the way that it looks, how it tastes, the texture of it in your mouth.
Mm,
We don't do any of that if we're multitasking.
no, exactly. So, okay, what would you recommend in terms of supplements? Do you recommend supplements for, like high stressed people and yeah, those who are always on the go and those who've got low energy as well? What would you recommend in terms of supplements? I mean, before you answer that, let me just add in something here. I recommend supplements as sort of an after the nutrition. For me, it's food first. And then if they're still not getting their nutritional needs from the food, then I look at supplementation. So I don't want everyone to think, oh, well, I don't have to worry about food. I'll just go for the
Yeah.
supplements. No, supplements don't work well without the food substance. So, Kelly, what would you suggest?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of kind of evidence-based supplements that I recommend to most clients,
Mm,
but I just think it's really important for people to, obviously, if they're on any medications or anything like that, to check with the GPs first for any contraindications when it comes to supplements. Um, the main ones that I really recommend are vitamin D,
mm,
because we only get vitamin D from sunlight, and in this country, we don't get that much of it. Um,
mm,
so vitamin D, I recommend to most people. In terms of dosage, if you can, it's a great idea to have your vitamin D levels tested at the doctor so you know what dosage you should be taking.
yeah.
But having low levels of vitamin D has been kind of linked to feeling stressed, depression, anxiety. So that's a really simple one that people could add in. And we just can't get enough vitamin D from food on its own. So
Mm,
that's a really good one that I recommend. And then the other one would be omega-3 fatty acids, which are found in things like oily fish.
mm,
Important to say with omega 3s, if you're taking blood thinners, then they're not suitable for you. So if you're taking
okay.
warfarin or anything like that, unfortunately, that one's not for you. Um,
Mm,
but for most people, if they're adding fish and seafood into the diet, they're going to be getting the omega 3s. Um, but it is a really good one to supplement as well.
mm,
And again, that can help with, well, it helps with all kinds of different things, but
yeah.
that can help with mood and feelings of stress, depression, and anxiety as well.
Mm,
Um, while I was doing a bit of research, getting ready to talk to you, there was a couple of other supplements that I came across, um, but one of them, the studies had mainly been done in animals. So
mm,
that's something that I always kind of look out for, like were the studies done in animals or were they done in humans? Because it doesn't
mm,
always translate across.
exactly.
But one was turmeric,
Mm,
but a lot of the studies were animal studies. And then the other one, now I'm not an expert in this supplement by any means, but the other one was ashwagandha.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of the research kind of said there's more research needed in this area. And again, to check with your GP before taking anything.
Definitely. Yeah. Because I took ashwagandha and a few other supplements after my stress crisis in 2018. And it really does have a calming effect. But you have to, I would say to people to take it under the guidance of a herbalist or someone who really specializes in that because you can you can overdose on it, believe it or not. Especially in the early times that you take it, it's best to kind of drip feed it until you get to a dose that suits you. And also, one other supplement I recommend is a vitamin B complex because the vitamin Bs are great for our nervous system, especially if you err on the side of the sympathetic nervous system response. Add some vitamin B in, and we can get vitamin B from whole foods, wheat. If you can tolerate wheat, nuts, and meat as well, chicken in particular. And that really helps to harmonize and soothe the nervous system. Because when we're stressed, the body tends to consume a lot of magnesium, vitamin C, and vitamin B. So magnesium is also great for helping us to relax as well. So magnesium, we can find that in greens. greens, nuts, mineral types of food, fishes, fish bones, that type of thing. Broth as well is a great source. If you're vegetarian or if you're vegan, then you're looking at your pulses, you're looking at tofu, etc. So yeah, look first and foremost to get your nutrients from food. And if you've got some gaps, then look at supplements. But
Yeah,
yeah, we've got to really be able to nourish ourselves accordingly when we're in levels of stress and pressure. Otherwise, we just end up running on empty, literally running on empty, and which was my case. Um, when I got admitted into hospital, I had no iron in me at all, and they had to pump me with ferritin. So for women, especially women who are still menstruating, I would highly recommend iron as well. Get your iron levels checked frequently at your GPs, because sometimes most of us we're just borderline really sort of really low levels, and we don't even realize it at all.
yeah, yeah.
And with the iron, we need the vitamin C as well. And if we're not eating well, then yeah, we're going to be very anemic. So
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And it's when you're in the midst of feeling stressed and feeling anxious, it can be really difficult to put those changes in place, can't it? Even though
mm,
you know that that's going to help you to feel better.
yeah.
Um, I'm a really big fan of kind of layering habits in, one
Hmm.
at a time. So it's not like having to try and change everything all at once. So going from living on 12 cups of coffee a day and the odd bar of chocolate to like eating this whole food diet that looks so beautiful and colourful, that might not be doable for
Hmm.
people, but it could be at
Hmm.
first, swap a cup of coffee for a glass of water and make changes like that. And it takes a bit longer, but hopefully over time it's more sustainable.
Yeah. Or like when you get that craving for that donut, instead of having that donut, maybe have a healthy version of a little biscuit or something that you've made yourself that doesn't have so much sugar in. Because yeah, there are alternates that we can tap into to help us. So that's a good point there. Thank you, Kelly. So Kelly, how do you manage times of stress, and do you even get stressed? Because you look like
Or
you don't get stressed at all.
I am a stress head. I worry about everything. Um, and I think it just goes to show, doesn't it? Like, I know the theory, but sometimes like I struggle myself with worrying, with ruminating, catastrophizing, all these things. um I just try and do the best that I can. So my diet is generally good. I
Mm,
exercise. I've got two dogs, so I go out and walk every day.
mm,
I go through I go through periods where I meditate and where I journal. I don't do those all the time. I
mm,
should do, and I wish I did. But like I was just saying, sometimes when I'm not feeling great, those habits will fall off, and I think, oh,
mm,
this is the time I need to be doing it the most.
mm,
But yeah, I think I try and do the basics. So keeping my diet good, getting my steps in, training. Um, but yeah, if you ask anybody who spends a lot of time with me, like my husband Johnny or Sam, my business partner, they'll both tell you that I am a stress head. I just hide it really well because I smile a lot.
which most people do. They smile, they show up with a smile, and then underneath is like, ah.
Yeah. I think we're all just spinning so many plates, aren't we?
Yeah.
Um, like, businesses, home life,
Hmm.
family,
Yeah,
everything. And it's a lot, isn't it?
it is. It can be. And that's where we get to say, okay, either we stop some things or we've just got to increase our self-care
Yeah.
around what it is that we're doing. So what do you do for self-care?
Um, I am one of my absolute favorite things to do is to go for a facial. And I don't do it that often, but when I do, I absolutely love it. So I love things like that.
Oh,
Yeah, I love a facial. I love having like round my eyes touched. I just love it. Um, my friend Kirsty and I, we were going to yoga classes until quite recently.
Mm,
But then again, both got busy with work, and that was the first thing that dropped off. So
mm.
that's something that I really would like to get back into. Um, and then I guess I see things like going out for walks and stuff and listening to podcasts as self-care and audio
Mm.
books and that kind of things, because it's just a little bit of time where you can kind of switch your mind off a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Because self-care doesn't have to be like, having a bubble bath and having your nails painted. And, self can be like what you say, just going for a walk with the dogs, just switching off and listening to a podcast or just doing a mindful walk is self-care in itself as well. So
Yeah,
thank you for sharing that, Kelly.
oh, no problem. One of my absolute favorite things to do, and this might sound so silly, but I absolutely like make a ritual out of watching Dragon's Den on a Thursday night. Like that is my me time watching Dragon's Den. I love it.
Oh my goodness.
I wake up on Thursday morning and think, oh, it's Dragon's Den tonight.
Well, if that's your self-care, who
Yeah,
are we
whatever
to
floats
judge?
your boat.
If it helps you to de-stress, then that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Kelly, what do you have going on for you? And do you have any promotions that you can share with the audience? And yeah, tell us what's happening in your world at the moment.
So it's actually really exciting because for the past 8, 9 years, it's just been me, Kelly, working by myself. And then just before the end of 2022, my really good friend Sam and I joined forces to make Nutrition Nerds.
Uh-huh.
Um, so Sam and I had both been doing similar jobs to each other. I was working as a nutritionist. Sam's a nutritional therapist who's going through the process of becoming a nutritionist at the moment. Um, we work in a very, very similar way. We've got shared values and shared vision for business. So it actually made perfect sense for us to start working together,
Mm,
which is what we now do. So we offer a couple of kind of programs. We have an on-demand nutrition coaching program, and then we have one-to-one nutrition coaching for clients.
mm,
But if anybody is interested in any of the work that we do, they can head over to my Instagram. I'm Nutrition Nerd Kelly, or we have a shared Instagram, Nutrition Nerds. And then if anybody wants to chat to us, get to know us, they can book a call in either with myself or with Sam,
mm.
and find out a little bit more about our coaching programs and if they might be suitable for them or something they'd like to get involved with.
Wonderful. Good. And I will signpost that around the
Oh, thank
videos.
you.
Yes,
We,
because
um, we we work with a really wide variety of people because my my background was mainly working with fat loss clients and mainly ladies who wanted to lose weight,
mm,
whereas Sam's background is a bit more performance nutrition and working with weightlifters. Um, so we come together and we can offer a lot to a lot of different people, whether it's weight gain, whether it's nutrition for sport or fat loss, weight loss. So we're a good team.
wow. So those of you who need help with your nutrition, check out Kelly and her partner Sam at Nutrition Nerds. And apart from Instagram, are you anywhere else in the online space?
Um,
Anywhere else they can find you?
yeah, we're just on Facebook. But mainly Instagram, to be honest. Facebook has it's got a bit quiet, hasn't it, recently?
Yeah, same with me. Yeah,
Yeah,
I tend to just play on Instagram and LinkedIn at the moment and YouTube.
yeah, yeah. We've got a YouTube channel, but there's not very much on there yet.
Okay, so the best place to find you then is Instagram.
Yeah,
Come into the
definitely.
Instagram world. Oh, well, thank you, Kelly. And I'm glad Fraser was behaving himself and he's looking out the window like he wants to go for a walk.
Did all right, didn't he? He was okay. I was worried. See, I worry about everything.
We did well. We did well. So those of you who will watch back on the replay of this, thank you so much for bearing with us. And sorry we were not live on Instagram, but it just goes to show with technology, anything could happen. So, but at least we were able to find an alternate improvisation
Yeah,
to still
definitely.
bring this to you because I really, really want to bring this conversation to you. So, check out Kelly at Nutrition Nerds on Instagram. Check me out at Lillian Larty _ on Instagram as well. And I will come back to you soon again with another live Instagram. Hopefully, all being well. I will be with you soon on another Instagram live. So I will see you all soon.